guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me again and welcome to a new dragging video. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off here at the Burberry flagship store in London in the UK. I had a really disappointing experience at Burberry. When I entered, an employee helped me to the scarf section as I asked her. She started explaining the differences between reversible and non-reversible scarves. When I asked for clarification, she said condescendingly, "What do you mean, madame? What does irreversible and reversible mean in English?" which made me feel belittled. Later, she abruptly told me not to rub the scarf on the floor. While I understand the concern, it could have been communicated more politely. To end the interaction, I inquired about a product guarantee and she dismissively said, "What do you mean there's no guarantee?" When I explained that other stores equivalent to Burberry offer guarantees, she said, "Well, of course we do," sarcastically, "for our bags, but not scarves. You have to look after it." The experience was really frustrating. I think there are a few things here. I think sometimes there are these cultural misunderstandings. There might be some linguistic misunderstandings, although when I was collecting this, it seemed that the person was a native English speaker. And I think that also something else to note is I don't know if luxury brands can really give guarantees, because I think that could leave someone to be open to get sued. I think if you ask, "Can you give me a guarantee?" You can leave yourself to get sued. And in my experience, people who want guarantees tend to be really difficult clients, in business. The people who are "Can you give me a guarantee? Can you guarantee me this? Can you guarantee me that?" They're people who are going to be really tough to deal with in business. So that can also be really exhausting for the SA. So the SA also already is disappointed because maybe she's thinking she's going to sell a trench coat or something like that to the client. And instead, the person is buying a scarf. That scarf might have been hard fought money the person worked really hard for. And I'm not trying to belittle the purchase at all. But we talked about this before. They don't like people going into the flagship stores to buy small things. This is a really iconic luxury flagship boutique in London. I would say one of the most iconic luxury shops ever is this Burberry on Regent Street. You know you're on Regent Street when you see it. You know what I mean? I personally wouldn't go in here just to buy a scarf. I'd maybe just buy clothing or buy something else as well. But again, they have the store there, they have the scarves to sell, so they shouldn't be annoyed about it. The next one's the same location. I had a really disappointing experience at the Burberry boutique on Regent Street. I visited with the intention of buying a black men's trench coat, of purchasing a black trench coat from the men's line. But I wanted to browse the store first to see if anything caught my interest. Unfortunately, I was immediately approached by an SA who was overly aggressive and bombarded me with intrusive questions. "Do you know what you want? What are you interested in? Where are you from? Have you ever bought from us before? Do you know any other luxury brands?" It felt overwhelming and unnecessary. What should have been a pleasant shopping experience was really uncomfortable. At one point, I asked for a glass of water, and the way she looked at me was as if I'd asked for something outrageous. Instead of allowing me to browse, she insisted I follow her. I felt pressured rather than welcome, completely ruined the experience. The person was really frustrated. Then they left the store and they bought the coat somewhere else. Again, I think that these are also these misunderstandings of what customers expect from the CA and what the CA expects from the customer. I've said it before. I have said it before. You will put the CA at ease if you make it clear you are buying today, but you just want to look around first. So what this person should have done, sorry, I've said it many times. You can shout at me all you want, but these dragging reviews just prove I'm right over and over again. I think what the person should have said is, the person said that they had the intention of buying it. What they should have said is vocalize that intention and been like, hey, what are you looking for? You know what? I'm going to pick up a trench coat in black from the men's collection, but first let me just look around. And then when I want to buy the trench coat, can you help me, please? Sure. Okay, great. When you want to buy the trench coat, I'll be over here. You can just let me know when you need me. That would have solved the problem instead of you saying, "I want to look around first." I think it's the kiss of death to tell the CA you want to look around first if you are definitely buying something, because I think it tells the CA that you're not serious, and which is why they're trained to ask the person, "What do you want to buy? What are you interested in? Where are you from? Do you have an account with us?" Because they want to look at your purchase history and they want to look at your spending as well. So I think that this person just didn't understand the sort of unwritten rules of luxury shopping, particularly in Europe, where I feel like in my experience, like London and Paris specifically, I feel like there isn't a lot of opportunity for time wasting and for browsing. I feel like CAs in both respective cities are really clear that you have to be clear that you want to buy something before that they can figure out if they want to offer you drinks and stuff. I think if this person had said, I want to buy a men's coat, but first let me just quickly look around, it would have been a different experience. The next one is the Hermes boutique at Cadogan, Sloane Street. I had a very disappointing experience at this Hermes store. When we arrived, the staff asked us what we're looking for. I told them we wanted small bags. She added me to the system queue, and told us to wait. A salesperson came to after 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, a salesperson came to assist. When we mentioned we're looking for small bags, she said she didn't handle leather goods. We need to wait. More time passes. They explained that they're looking for small bags, and then the essay is like, we don't have any small bags left. He acted like we're wasting his time, and even said something along the lines of, my colleague should have told you. It was really dismissive and hurtful. We didn't find anything we liked, so we left. As we're leaving, he kept repeating it over and over again, even though we already explained that his colleague never told us there were no bags available. So the essay keeps saying there are no bags, there are no bags. To make things worse, we saw them showing bags to other clients. Yeah, those clients probably bought things. You know, the UK stores, in my opinion, definitely play favorites, even with tourist clientele. They pick and choose which tourists to help. They definitely fulfill wishes for the local customers who buy things throughout the year, even if it's a wish list situation. They definitely, I think, pick and choose who they want to help. And then they had just decided that they were not going to help these clients who'd come to the shop. And I think it does make for a very unpleasant shopping experience as well. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique in Geneva in Switzerland. I went in to have my passport holder stamped. I informed them I'd fly out on a specific date. They told me the passport holder would be ready to be collected on a date when the store is closed. They also refused to ship the passport holder to me. Now I've lost my passport holder. I have to say, all of the reviews where the passport stamping stuff is mentioned, all of those reviews are really bad. It doesn't matter what store it is. They really dislike people who are just coming in to stamp the passport holder stuff. Again, not saying I agree, just letting you know and warning you. I think that they really dislike it and they see it as a waste of their time. Honestly, if you asked me, I wouldn't be surprised if Louis Vuitton eventually discontinue this, because the way they treat people who just want to have the passport holder stamped is with absolute and total contempt. Like they basically were like, no, the store's closed, we're going to lose your passport. We're going to lose your passport holder. We don't give a toss how you feel about it because you didn't buy anything today. Sorry. We know I'm right too. Same location. I had a really bad experience in this branch. The store is overloaded. There's little interest from SAs. While waiting, there was no tea or coffee or champagne, just awkward smiles. When I was buying an expensive perfume, they didn't give me any samples of any other fragrances, as if they wanted to get rid of me. Again, these smaller purchases. These brands really dislike people coming in to make these smaller purchases. I can see my life flashing before my eyes because I've had bad experiences when I've made like small purchases at Louis Vuitton. And I'm definitely going to be correcting that for the next European trip. Like, I'm going to make sure that I spend a little bit more money in the boutique at a time, because the bad experiences are really like, they really make it clear like they don't want you to come in there to buy like a perfume. The next one is the Dior boutique in Singapore at the Ngee Ann City location. I recently visited the Dior boutique to buy a gift for my mother-in-law. I made contact with the CA at the entrance, was shown around. I wanted to get a recommendation and buy a simple design. I asked what kind of design and color do women in their 50s buy a lot. But she was mocking me. The CA was mocking me, saying it depends on my personal preference, and how do I recommend it when I don't know my mother-in-law's taste? When she asked me how old my mother-in-law was, I said, I don't know, maybe mid to late 50s. She said, you don't know her taste, but you also don't know her exact age. This is really bad. I've never felt so bad while shopping. I didn't want to waste any more time, so I ended up calling another CA, and she followed up with her kind explanation. I was able to make the purchase quickly. Okay, so I think there are a few things. First of all, the person did the right thing. You're not running me out of the store. You asked for someone else. But I think also this CA is that nice, nasty thing, you know? Again, I think a nice, nasty response could have been something like this. Like, when the CA is like, you don't know her taste, you don't know how old she is, this is really bad. You could be like, there are worse things than a son-in-law, The worst things in a son-in-law who wants to buy his mother-in-law a luxury bag. Do you want to show me some of the stuff? Like, show me some things right now. Again, nice, nasty, the nice, nasty thing stuff, it does work. Now, this person didn't want to give the person the sale, so ask for someone else, that's fine. I would have been like, I was always taught that it isn't proper to ask a lady, a mature lady, how old she is. Something like that, make it nice, nasty, because I think sometimes, like, when the person is really rude, but to be fair, how do you not know how old your mother-in-law is? But still, it doesn't warrant the response that the person gave, for sure. Next one is the Dior Singapore, same location. I went in and inquired about Dior necklaces. A rude essay helped me without a smile, looked like she wanted to be done with me. I showed her photos of someone wearing the necklace I wanted to purchase, asking what model. Dismissively, she said, I don't know, it's not clear to me. I expected much better service from a luxury brand like Dior. I have to say, I have found really bad experiences when I go in with a picture. I found that they really dislike that because they feel like you're not going to buy from the stock that they have. So they feel like it's a waste. If you go in there with a picture from your phone, in my experience, they think that you're not going to buy from the stock that they have. So they kind of feel like, well, why should I bother showing you other things? Because you really want this one thing. And then they kind of become cold and become aloof and they want you to leave the store so they can focus on someone who can make them more money. The next one is the Cartier boutique at Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. My fiance and I went to look for wedding rings. The staff were really unprofessional. When we asked about ring prices and sizes, the SA said they'd send the information later, clearly trying to get rid of us and brush us off. After we left, we never got any follow-ups about the information about the rings. When we entered, the security guard opened the door for us, but once the staff realized we weren't buying anything straight away, their attitude completely changed. They looked annoyed. In the end, we had to open the door ourselves to leave. This store really needs to retrain its employees because I've never had such bad experience. I have said it time and time again. Cartier are not playing games with anyone. Cartier is not for the weak. Cartier have made it plain and clear in the dragging videos, and Cartier is definitely going to be a boutique I'll be visiting for the European trip, but they have made it plain and clear. They do not want you to come up in there and browse. I have said it over and over again. I believe that this is a standalone store. Now, obviously, in the situation of the Ho Chi Minh boutique, they don't have a location. If it's a standalone store, you have to go there in order to see Cartier. But I think in places where maybe there's a department store situation and flagships, like that's the situation in Paris, that's also the situation in London, you might just be better off just going to buy the engagement rings at a department store where there is Cartier, because I think that the service will be a little bit better. They don't have those massive sales. I mean, not that they don't have massive sales targets. They get so many people who can spend 100K, 200K that they don't care if you're just coming to look. Whereas the standalones, they really judge the foot traffic that they get, I think, more than the department stores. And I think once the CA realized that they weren't buying any things today and they wanted to ask a ton of questions, the CA is like, well, this is just a fact-finding mission. I think that a lot of CAs, particularly the jewelry CAs, they see a difference between you as a fact finder, you're coming to get information, versus you as a shopper. And this is a really unpopular opinion, but in one of my businesses, we also really minimize spending time with fact finders and people who are just looking for information, because there's a ton of information on our socials and online. So you don't really need to call to get information, because the information is there to read. There's some people who like to feel, and I know some of you are going to be upset, but I'm telling you the truth as a businesswoman. There are some people who like to feel really important in luxury shops. I'm not saying that this couple is necessarily like that, but if they were pretty sure they weren't going to buy the rings that day, the wedding bands, there's really no need to go unless you were sure that you were going to buy, or at the minimum, try them on to see if they look good. And that's why I was telling you, a lot of the times they just know who's buying today and who isn't. The final one is the Cartier boutique at Siam, Paragon in Thailand, in Bangkok. Worst experience at a Cartier boutique. They put the wrong ring size in the box. They tried to sell me a scratch ring because it scratches anyway. and I had to ask for drinks. This is a wedding band appointment, apparently. Please go to Icon Siam instead. Girl, let me tell you. Once Big Cartier knows you are in there to buy a wedding ring, baby, she does not want you in there. Because it's like, I need all the wedding band clients to get out. Get out! You know, I'm not saying I agree. I'm wearing the love ring I bought from the Cartier boutique at the Champs-Elysees store. But I've said it before. You can't run me out of the store. The only thing that would run me out of the store is like a racial profiling experience, and I would never go there again. But unless it's that, I'm not leaving the boutique. I'm going to carry on with my day in the shop, having a good time. And if you're moody and you're going to have a moan about it, I don't care. And I know some people are like, well, I wouldn't give the commission to the CA. I don't know. I mean, I feel like unless you're spending at a certain level, because these brands make so much money, I don't feel like it really moves the needle unless you're spending like 10,000 euros shopping at a time, or that equivalent for like whatever country you're in. So this experience is very unfortunate, but it's not surprising. And I'm not laughing at them because I have been dragged many, many times. Low-key got dragged at the Cartier when I bought this love ring, and it was only when she realized I was really serious. I had to tell her over and over again. I remember looking at the CA thinking in my head, why don't you get it? I am buying. How many times do I need to tell you? And then finally she like had that reassurance. Okay, it's cool. Tell me what you think about today's dragging videos. Listen, I just need Cartier to stop selling wedding bands in the store. Remember the previous dragging video where the client at the one of the Big H boutiques in Tokyo was like, if you don't have Birkins or Kellys to sell, close the store down. I agree. If you don't want to sell wedding bands, just take them out of the store, make them online only, or make them appointment only for clients who are going to buy. Number one. Number two, Louis Vuitton, if you don't want to sell perfumes in the store, put them in department stores. Louis Vuitton doesn't want to do that because they think it waters down their exclusivity. Put them in department stores so people can buy them in department stores and take them out of the boutique. Why are you getting mad that people are coming in asking for perfumes? Let me know what you think about that one. And before I go, there was something I was thinking about, just like an idea about how to sort of improve shopping, like with CAs, and how to make things, like for those of you who are like building relationships. I think that particularly during the holidays, it's a really busy time for CAs right now. I think if you're someone who can come through with like big purchases at the end of the year, the fiscal year in a lot of Western countries ends on the 31st of December. I think if you're someone who can like pop into the store for any brand before the 31st of December and do like a big shop, I think that can also really help to build a really strong financial connection with the CA, because your CA is like, wow, I can rely on this person to come and make a big purchase at the end of the month. The end of the month, I think, is a really, like that final week of every month is a really stressful time for a lot of people who work in luxury shopping, because they need to hit targets. They might have targets that they haven't hit. I think if you're someone who can make a big purchase, by big, I mean more than 10,000 euros spent, $10,000 spent, £8,000. I think anything above £8,000, 10,000 euros, 10,000 USD in a single transaction. If you're someone who can spend like that at the end of the month, I think that will really endear you to CAs, because they'll be like, wow, this person really knows how to come through when I need to hit my targets for the month. So it's just an idea that I had to kind of make it a mutually beneficial financial relationship, because let's be very clear, it's based on how much money you spend. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Sign up for the newsletter. You're missing out. Thank you so much for all of your support. I have lots of great videos coming up this month. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.